made, just the first people relative to us on our planet. They were our primal mortal parents. And he even taught that there were that the creations of God were limitless and were in the entire universe, and that there were many other worlds, which he called Earths, that were created by God and inhabited by children of God. So for us, the concept of life on other planets, this has been a very old concept for us. So theoretically, the idea of UFOs and intelligent life out there fits within our theology. So I do recall there was a number of years ago when the Vatican made a specific declaration accepting the possibility of life on other planets. That was kind of a big move. But we've believed that from the very beginning. In fact, there's even this idea that the saving grace of Christ was something that was not just for this world, but it was for all of God's creation, for all the universe. And that he came here to this earth, perhaps because this earth was the one that was only one wicked enough that would have killed its Savior. But again, his salvation is not just to humankind, but to all life, and in fact, all life in all of God's creation in the universe. So, from a doctrinal point of view, we would have no problem at all with the idea of civilizations, intelligent civilizations far older than us out there in the universe.
Well, you got to think about like the ancient Egyptians and the Mayans and stuff like that. They were lifting bricks and stones that were 2 tons. How did they get the technology to move those bricks, or think of the technology at that time to move those bricks to build those pyramids?
Well, that gets into sort of the ancient astronaut theories, and I've been very interested in that for much of my life and kind of following it. And the truth is that I think I haven't come across anything yet in ancient archaeology that can't be explained by human intelligence and ingenuity, or perhaps being inspired by God.
What
and
if,
the thing about,
Oh, what if? Quick question. What if? Not question. Sorry. What if? What if we went back in time ourselves and gave us the technology?
Well, I don't know that we've figured out time travel yet, so I can't.
No,
that's
not
a
right
fascinating
now, but
topic.
like in the future,
Right. Well, again, my belief is that the ancient accomplishments of the past, even if we don't know how to do them today, it wasn't necessary that they were done with advanced technology that's beyond our capability, and that God inspires men to great accomplishments in all eras of time. So it doesn't have to be necessarily ancient aliens showing them how to do it. One thing I think that I've noticed very specifically, as I said, I've followed this from the very beginning, at least in my life, with Erich von Däniken and Chariots of the Gods and all that, because I find it a fascinating concept. And I find that as I watch these shows on TV or listen to them on the radios or podcasts or whatever, that the people that are absolutely certain that this is what happened, without question, number one, they tend to look at artifacts and accomplishments out of context in the historical record. And number two, they don't seem to really understand or give a whole lot of thought to the traditional sort of archaeological explanations. They seem to be completely ignorant of that. So in a book I wrote, which is about the Book of Mormon and possible connections to ancient American archaeology, I write specifically about a site I visited in Mexico called Palenque. And Palenque was the site of perhaps one of the most famous Mayan kings, Pakal, and the discovery of his tomb, I think in 1947, is very, very famous. And the lid to his sarcophagus is extremely famous. And I do know that from Erich von Däniken down to Giorgio Tsoukalos, look at it and believe it to be a depiction of an astronaut riding a spaceship into the stars. So my question is, why would that be on the lid of his tomb? But just going through mainstream archaeological beliefs, I've written about this and showed all the symbolism, that those actually have a lot of religious meanings and things that kind of fit very well within our theology. And I think that is a much more likely explanation than the idea of, this guy riding a rocket, back in the 9th century A.D. And when I look at their explanations, the ancient astronaut theorists, they say, well, this looks to me like, and they seem to be completely uninformed about what the Mayan tradition and even archaeologists themselves would say that this symbolism is for. And so I think for me that's actually much more interesting and much more applicable to us than the ancient astronaut theory. So again, I'm very fascinated by the ancient astronaut theories, and I've followed it for quite a while. I still have yet not come across anything that I think has to be explained by that. I think much of it can be explained by more down-to-earth methods.
Interesting. Okay, now, do you have any books that you've written about this, or do you go around and, give talks on it, or what do you do?
Well, I mean, I'm really no one special. Actually, I am a college professor, and I'm a digital artist. And so those are the things that I do as my work, as my profession. And I've just had an interest in many of these topics for a long time. So I've actually written 2 books. One is called An LDS Guide to Mesoamerica. One is called An LDS Guide to the Yucatan. And they really were the results of research and journeys taken by me and 2 friends of mine, my co-authors, and looking into visiting these ancient places in Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras that I've always been fascinated about for all my life. So I've always loved them and really was excited to go and visit them, and kind of looking about how they might apply to the Book of Mormon. So our belief is that the Book of Mormon is an ancient book of Scripture, like the Bible, but it was written by prophets and people of God who lived in the New World and ended up in the American continents, which is kind of a controversial thing to say archaeologically. And so these were books written on that topic, and as I have done that, I've come across some, there are some corollaries to other things. As I mentioned, I visited and studied extensively Palenque and Pacal's tomb, and that's a big one for the ancient astronaut theorists. And I have a whole chapter on that site and a big diagram of that particular carving and what all the various things mean and what their symbolism is. So I've been talking, giving presentations and all sorts of things that probably mainly have more interest to Mormon audiences, but just having to do with the Book of Mormon and various archaeological issues that might support it.
Interesting. Well, our time's almost up there, and, I enjoyed having you on. I'm sorry about having to bump you around a little bit here this past couple weeks to get you on here. But, I like everybody's, own view on certain things. So it's good, though, that you have your right to believe in the paranormal if you wish to choose so, and, things like that. One real quick question. Giants. Does your religion believe that the earth had giants at one time?
Well, if we believe in the Bible, we certainly would. I remember listening to a show you did recently about people talking about giants, and the only thing that I can say about giants is they're mentioned a couple of times in the Old Testament. There are, of course, beings like Nephilim, and Anakim was another one, and I would believe the Old Testament, also leaving some room for some symbolism and analogy. But I can say that as I've searched around for really hard evidence of giants, I've been left a little bit wanting. One of the main things was I visited the museum in Winnemucca, and of course there's a lot of legends about the local Paiute there, and then red-haired cannibal giants in a cave and skulls and all of that. And I haven't been able to find anything that really supports that. The skulls that the museum in Winnemucca has, they won't display, they say, because of treaties with Native American tribes. And actually, I have a post on my blog where I looked into this and showed how this picture of this jawbone, which is supposed to be gigantic, compared next to the casting of modern dental casting, I compared and put the two images together and overlaid them, and showing that the actual teeth area of the jawbone was really not any bigger than that of the modern casting. So I have yet to find any true hard evidence of giants, sadly. I would believe it theoretically, at least to some degree, because they're in the Old Testament.
Okay. With that, hey, I enjoyed talking to you tonight, and, I do appreciate you staying up for the show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you having me on. It's a great opportunity to talk to you and to get to know you a bit better and to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, and again, tell people where they can get your books at.
Okay, well, they may be out of print, but you can look on Amazon.com and find them. And my second book, An LDS Guide to the Yucatan, was an ebook only, and the publisher is Cedar Fort out of Springfield, Utah. So you can look there. And also I have a blog, which is ldsguide.blogspot.com, where I go into a lot more detailed information. Again, you can find my posting there that talks about the supposed giants in Winnemucca and has my analysis of the photos. And as a digital artist, I can do a good bit of photo analysis. But that's where they can get information about stuff that I find and write about, and just contact me if needed. But yeah, the books are fun to do. Might only be of interest to a Mormon audience, but they may still be out there.
Okay, sir. Hey, with that in mind, I want to thank you, and I want you to have a great week coming up.
Well, thank you. I'm grading papers and looking forward to seeing what I can teach starting tomorrow. Okay,
sir. We'll talk to you some other time.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on.
Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, boy. Sunday is almost over. Then we start the work week, and then, tomorrow I got a person on. We're going to be talking about giants. Yes, the giants walking the earth. When they, ended walking the earth, or have they ended walking the earth? So that's going to be a good show tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
You know what would be a good show? Talking about zombies. Talking about really cool zombies.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have anybody talking about zombies in May, but I do have somebody talking about voodoo coming up, and then we're going to be talking, about vampires and stuff like that. Another vampire will be on a show.
What's on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it's going to be giants.
Oh, giants, yeah, of course. Okay, cool.
Okay, Kevin. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody that's been listening to our show and giving the support to our show. It has really been growing huge. We're in talks, or actually a station out of the UK will be carrying our show very shortly on Sundayshow, not the weekday show. So if you're a radio station, or somebody out there that owns a radio station, a little small station, I don't care. Tell them about Night Dreams Talk Radio. I mean, I'm open to be carried, by anybody. I'd have nothing against AM and FM radio. I do see the future, though, being digital, the internet. I want to welcome a new sponsor to our show, PhoenixShaving.com. I know what you're thinking, right? Oh, another disposable razor company. Well, the fact is they're not. You remember the razors that your father and his father shaved with? Did you ever notice they didn't have, the embarrassing razor burn or ingrowing hairs or the razor bumps after they shaved? Did you notice they were also relaxed after they were done shaving? Well, the problem is these big corporations want to sell you razor after razor after razor. Think about how much money you spend a year on razors. Or do you use electric razor? Then you're going to find out what razor burn is. So you need to check out Phoenix Shaving Starter Kits. They come complete with the soap, the brush, and a 2.5-month supply of blades. And the most important part of it, an all-metal razor, built to last generations. So, hey, you can donate it to one of your sons when they turn 18. Check out PhoenixShaving.com and tell them that Gary from Night Dream said, hey, I want one. That's PhoenixShaving.com now. Yeah, Yeah, think about how comfortable it was to shave